just to start off, do you want to like introduce yourself? Say like who you are, like where you're from, what your story as an artist is?
Absolutely, absolutely. So my name is Muchi. I am an underground artist for now. I do a lot of everything. I make music, I rap, sing, I do everything. I shoot my own videos, produce my own songs, mix my own music. If you've seen it, I probably did it. It's been a beautiful grind. I've done this for about 7 years, 6, 7 years, give or take. I started in either 2016 or 2018. I can't remember the exact year. But around that time, my dad introduced me to music, and I got into it that way. And ever since, I've just been making music like pretty much my whole life. This is what I've dedicated my living to.
So like you said like your dad introduced you to music. Like what kind of music did he get you into?
It's so funny. I don't think as a kid I even listened to music that often, but I know my dad he's a very avid music listener, and he also makes his own music. He makes like rap and music of that sort. I remember in like 6th grade, I was just like messing around with a bunch of homies, and we were just like making songs. You know what everyone did in 2018. And my dad heard one that I made. It was like a silly little. It was like an alarm, and I was just like, why not? It could be cool. And my dad heard it, and he was like, this is actually like this could be good if you took it serious. And like 2 days later or something, he took me to like a studio. And by studio, I mean a man's house who had a microphone in the kitchen. But it was a beautiful moment. Ever since then, I've just been really into music. Like it's the only thing that I've done.
In terms of like other musical artists, like do you have like inspirations that you like look up to or that you like their styles kind of like inspire yours? Or is it more just kind of general, like you were saying, with like you just kind of started making music and you're doing your own thing?
I didn't have influences or just like inspirations off of the muzzle, just because like I was so new to music, even like just listening to it low key. Like I listened to stuff before, but it wasn't like anything
Right.
that I was intricate with. So beginning, it wasn't really anything. I was just kind of making what I thought was like cool. And at the time, the thing that was cool was just rapping about stuff you would never do. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I was doing, just having a good time with it. And then as the years went on, I became very influenced by Tyler. Saba was somebody I was very influenced by. His pen is amazing, and it is the reason why I believe I'm a pretty decent writer to this day. The same thing with Tyler as well. And then recently, I've gotten a couple new inspirations, like Tizo Touchdown. When everyone found him, and then it's just all over the place. It's like inspiration from everywhere, all the way from artists to just like actual like photographers and stuff. Like there's this one artist, our photographer, I believe. His name's Sean Mundy. He has great work. And he's inspired me kind of in a sense just for like visual things. And also just, it's so funny, him being a photographer also inspired my writing because of like being able to just paint a picture without actually painting the picture kind of thing.
And to kind of like back up as well, like I saw that on your Instagram today that you had like a very early morning today. Like you woke up early to go like film a video like behind the Kroger that you work at, I think.
So yeah, I was about to say not all the time, but a lot of my mornings I'm up at like 2 a.m. getting ready to go to work. And then after I get off of work, I have to do like my career work. But this morning I had this idea, like we have like these trucks that have like all the stock on it or whatever. And I walked onto one and I was like, this looks cool. And my coworker was like, I said something about filming, and she was like, we could make it happen. And so we made it happen today. I woke up pretty early just so I can be in the store before like it opened or whatever. And just, get a couple videos in. So that's what I did. That's why I was up so early. I was grinding at the grinder, the investor.
No, yeah. I mean, it definitely seems like from your social media, I get the sense that you're just like very overall like committed and like always like working on like advancing your career. Like what's like the most challenging part of like kind of balancing that? Because I know like you work and you're working on your career as well. Like can that be like difficult to like find time to do that? Or do you get like struggle with like getting tired with that, or how does that work?
It's definitely if you don't know exactly how to go about it, it's very tiresome. Like the grind mindset is not a healthy mindset if you don't do it right. Like you have to know how to balance it out. You have to know how to actually care about yourself and then care about your careers and the things that you actually do enjoy like having. Like it's a struggle sometimes. Like I can't even lie. I don't even have it all put together yet. I think the biggest thing is just really learning how to balance it out and making sure that you always have enough room to like actually make mistakes. Like with consistency was my biggest struggle. And this year I've been really tackling it with like posting every day and stuff like that. But I think there's like a couple steps that makes that sort of thing easier. Like for example, like even just taking out certain days of the week and just filming, doing nothing else but filming. And then the next day you have like a chance to just edit everything and then schedule out posts. It allows you time to not only think of more ideas in those days that you're like, I don't have anything. You don't have to go scramble and panic to try to get a video just so you can post or something like that. Like it allows you room. Anytime you're tired, anytime you need to take care of yourself, you just have to make sure everything's so balanced and like time blocked and scheduled. I think if you have everything kind of in a controlled manner, you can do stuff like this because it's really controlled chaos. But if you could control the chaos, it's beautiful.
No, absolutely. I mean, I can even relate to that just in terms of, I think what you're doing is definitely more, like way more effort than anything that we're doing. But even with like the 808s content, like I can, on our account, like it can be difficult. Even just like posting every day is like difficult. And we also use like the scheduling thing, like to try to like give ourselves more time to try to come up with something rather than just scrambling to do it. So
yeah, it's a smart thing to do. It like, not only does it just allow your brain to actually be creative rather than you trying to force something creative into you, it allows the creativity to do what it's supposed to do, just flow through you and then, go out the other end. But on top of that, it also just gives you a sense of like, I don't know, you don't have to feel like you're working because you're actually doing what you love to do. But on top of it, you're getting enough room to, like I said, make those errors and, learn.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I feel like you're always gonna do better when you're not burnt out. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
And yeah, that's one of the questions I had here as well. Was like what's like one thing that what do you think like you struggle with the most when it comes to making music? Is it that, like, would it just be like trying to balance everything, or is there like something? What would you say in general for that?
Specifically, just music. Like if we're going off of just that, I think the biggest thing I struggle with sometimes is just getting things actually like done. I feel like there's always a certain creative like nut and screw that kind of always gets a little bit out of place when you work on anything, just because you're like, there's so many things up there. There's so many ideas. There's so many things that you want to do. Sometimes it's hard for me to actually just commit to one thing, finish it, and then if I don't like it, I don't like it, but at least I finished it, kind of thing. I feel like I bounce around ideas a lot, and way too easily. I think something I need to do more often is just follow through. And even if I don't enjoy it at the end of the process, at least I follow through and it gives me that sense of like, I finished. I don't have to go back and try to finish it. Because a lot of the time, we don't go back to finish things. Like that movie that you watch and you're like, oh, I got half an hour. I'll finish the rest. You're not watching that, bro.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So definitely like just fully committing, finishing it, and just letting it be what it is. I'm so focused on sometimes I always get stuck in the mindset of quality over quantity. Yeah. And then remember, you can do both if you just actually want to do it, kind of thing. So I think that's the biggest thing, just trying to finish stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is it sort of like a perfectionist thing as well, where it's like you want everything to be perfect, but it's like tough to.
Yeah, it's like the perfectionist thing, but I know I'm not a perfectionist because I know ain't nothing perfect. But it's like it's the artist in my regular human brain like arguing, like, no, it's not perfect yet, and it's like, dog, you're not gonna ever get there. Just do it, kind of thing.
Your 2021 song "Luggage," right? That was like am I correct in saying like that was your first one to like really blow up? Like, yeah. So that's also like how I found out about you. My girlfriend found that song.
Really?
Yeah, and then that was like back in probably start of 2022, January. And I was like, oh, this is really good.
Yeah,
I love that song. I think it's a great one. What was that experience like for you to have that song blow up?
Oh man, it was a very interesting experience. Throughout my whole career, that was like the first, like I had moments, of course, but that was the first time it was like actually something like really happening. I was like, like this is serious. This is real. Yeah. This isn't a passion project anymore. It never was to begin with, but like this is the moment things actually go upwards. And that was also the first time I ever seen like money off of my actual dream. Like I didn't even care that it was like a couple bucks at first. I was just like, the fact that there's money in this, and like I'm doing something I love, and I'm gonna turn it into a career. Like that's nuts. That feeling was so beautiful. It was also at a time where I was like, for 2 weeks I worked at McDonald's, and it happened like I think a couple weeks prior before I started working there. But it was a crazy experience. It was my first time ever making that kind of song. Also, like that was my first solo song, and my first time ever really like writing. Like I believe to this day that's still some of my best writing. Just like story wise, telling like the song, the everything was just so perfect in that. And yeah, it was a beautiful experience, bro. Like just just knowing that there was people that actually cared, like that actually were listening, that actually wanted to support. It was awesome.
No, for sure. And was it like sort of like when it blew up, was it like right away, like you posted it and then like immediately it started like going up, or was it like a bit of a wait time and then it started going up, or like how
It's so
was
funny.
it
It
gradual?
was like a
Mhm.
I don't even know how to explain this. I was like just now getting into posting on TikTok, and I know it had been around for like I think a year prior, but I
Mhm.
wasn't. I was very much like at first the I hate TikTok, I will never use it kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then I swallowed my pride and I started using it for a bit, but I didn't post my face for a while for like a couple
Yeah.
posts. And I posted luggage like maybe once or twice without my face being in it, but they didn't do well or whatever. And then there was like this trend at the time. Forget what the trend even was, but it was like where you would say something that like kind of contradicted the thing prior. So it'd be like, oh, my girl calls me and says that she can't come over, but if she can't come over, that means I can do what I want or some shit. So it was like you fake like you're upset about it, or you like peek through or whatever.
Yeah.
And I saw the trend and I turned it into like a musical thing. And I knew the sample wasn't cleared. So I was like, when you could get sued for the song because you didn't clear the sample, but getting sued might make the song blow up. And I did that, and it just did really well, like immediately. It was the first time I ever posted my face too. I think it was just everything. The relatability to artists like not having that ability to like clear stuff, and that you could be doing things illegally, low key, like in the most alleged way possible.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, just that like that relatability with artists, and then also the song was just cool. And then I don't know, I can't really explain why it took off like immediately, but it kind of was immediate after I kind of got out of my comfort.
Right. No, makes sense. Do you want to like talk a little bit about like the background of the story of the song? Like, no worries if you don't want to. I can also just cut this out. But like,
No, I
yeah.
definitely can. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. So, no, that song is like. That song, everyone thinks that song's like a love song. And I always see people like posting their like girlfriends and stuff to it. But in reality, it's like the worst heartbreak song like ever.
Yeah, that's my I got.
Yeah. It's pretty much the whole concept of that song and the background of that song. I'll go with the concept first. But the concept is pretty much like loving somebody so much to the point that you can't even realize they don't actually want you anymore. And you're so blindsided by the fact that you wanted them so badly that like you can't even process the fact that they don't want you anymore, kind of thing. The background pretty much was just like, there was a girl I was dating at the time, and long story short, the relationship was not good. It was a lot of faults on my end, but also a lot of like just things that didn't really work out how they were supposed to. And yeah, it just ended like in a weird state, because it was kind of like in a state of like where I thought things were good, but things actually weren't good, and then like it just randomly like ended, and it was kind of like I was left on the cliffhanger, which I deserve to be, but it doesn't matter. It still affected me. And that's pretty much just like how that whole song went. Cause it was like I was still I don't even know if it was in love, but I was still attached to the person in that sense. And I think that's how the song really came about. Just that sense of attachment. I can't even say if it's like actual attachment or not, but there was something that kept me there. And I think that's how the whole kind of concept came about.
No, I was gonna say like either way, like I think you can definitely tell in the song that it's like, it's like you're definitely feeling the things that you're saying, and I feel like that's part of what makes the song great as well.
Absolutely.
And so, another question I had was that like, do you have like a favorite song that you've made so far? Is it that one? Is it a different one, or what is?
I definitely do. I have this one song called "Stop Comparing Lives," and the whole concept of that song is pretty much just like, stop comparing people to other people. Stop comparing people to other things that they don't even care about, or things they aren't attached to. It was a bit like comparisons were a really big thing for me at the beginning of my career. I've let it go now, but like the beginning of my career, it was a big problem for me where people just would like compare me to like any artist under the blue moon. It got to a weird point where like people weren't just comparing my music; they were comparing like my actual me. Like they were comparing my personality, my voice, like everything that associated with me, to just people that either I was inspired by a little bit, but not to that extent, or just people that I didn't really pay attention to. And it really affected me because it was like I couldn't ever be my own person. It always felt like I was. Every time I got compared, I realized to most of the people on the internet at that time, I was a product and not actually a human and an artist. So it very much affected me. And that song was just kind of like my way of being like, yo, I hate it. And I'm going to just tell you. And I know it's not going to make y'all stop, But at the end of the day, I'm finally going to be able to let this go because I got to talk about it. I got to tell you that I don't like it.
Yeah.
Just all kinds of things. And it was really the last time I ever really let it affect me. That song pretty much. And that's my most personal song. Even with songs like Luggage, and like I had this other song called A Couple of Minutes that's like really sad. Like even with those, they're not as personal as that because that was genuinely a problem that affected me for like years. And to be able to let it go, it was a good feeling.
No, for sure. I feel like it definitely can be really difficult to like, put yourself out there and to be like, to have like your persona be like public, you know what I mean? Or at least like on the internet. And so that's that's a really cool thing to be able to put into a song, I guess, to be like, to help yourself get over that. I'll definitely have to go re-listen to the song because I've definitely heard it before and I'm familiar with it, but I never really like, I don't think I really like sat down with it and listened to it as much. So I'll have to go listen to it again and check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I highly recommend it. I think also sonically, that's just one of my really like better songs. Like I feel like I did everything in that, and I don't know. Yeah, definitely re-listen if you can.
No, yeah, for sure. What would you say is like either like the best or like the wildest or like the most interesting experience that you've had as a result of like chasing this dream, as a result of like being an artist?
I have like two.
Okay.
One. I have this song called I'm Scared. And pretty much when I'm scared, the whole song is just naming a bunch of fears that can never really happen. But like if I let them happen, they will happen. So like one of the fears that I mentioned was the bar is scared that I can't make a beat or go and play the keys because I just like to use a sample. And that was pretty much me saying, like, I don't feel like I'm an artist sometimes because I use a lot of samples. I chop a lot of samples. And people downplay people for using them when in reality, I feel like you're more talented if you can take somebody's like ideas and innovate them into your own. But long story short, there's a guy, my fucking boy now, his name's Salim. And he heard that song and he was like, bro, I noticed in the song that you said you wanted to learn how to play the keys. I would absolutely love how to teach you how to play the keys. And for like 2-3 months since we had that conversation, he's been teaching me just how to play the keys like once a week. We just have like a lesson. And he just sits there, tells me as much as he can, and then we'll have like a little combo, and then we'll be like, all right, I'll see you next week, dude. It's been awesome. Like he's such a good teacher too. Like not only is he just a good human being, he's just actually a great teacher. I love that man. Like I love it. He has helped me a lot recently with just like ideas and things of that nature. I really appreciate him. And it's just so crazy to me that like a song can literally make somebody be like, yo, I would love to teach you how to play the keys. Like, that's crazy. Like I'm getting lessons for free because I rap.
That's so random too. Like just to, for you to put that line in and then for that to result in like this real world like kind of butterfly effect thing to happen. Like,
yeah. And it's like now when I'm able to play keys on stage and piano and all kinds of stuff, he's going to be the root of how I'm able to play that. All because I rapped and I was so vulnerable to the point where I was able to admit that I was scared I would never learn kind of thing, which is it's so crazy and so beautiful.
No, for sure. That's sick. And so you said there was two. Like, what's the other one?
The second one happened recently, like last week. So I was at work and pretty much, long story short, my job is to do online shopping for people who don't want to come in and get their groceries. It's just like a pickup department. And I was taking one of the like little trolleys with all the groceries on it back to the room or whatever. And there's this dude in line and he like turns, sees me, just starts staring. And I'm like, why the fuck is he staring at me? And he turns and he's like, are you Muchi? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was a surreal moment. We took a picture and everything. So there's like a picture, like I just have a picture of me in my apron, like just saying like it was a beautiful moment. That was not my first fan reaction, but like one of the first times I ever really been recognized in real life by like someone who didn't know I was gonna be there, didn't know I was around there. Like he just recognized me, and it was a beautiful moment, man. Like it was my first like genuine fan.
That's definitely showing that like you're making I feel like you can definitely tell you're making an impact when you're getting recognized when you're like not in your like you're not like doing artist stuff, you're just like doing your stuff. Like
one thing for like a fan to come to a show and be like, bro, I love you so much, like I drove like an hour to be here just to see you, and that's also awesome, and I do appreciate that. It's just as much, but like it's different when you're not even in like I'm not even going to call it a persona, but when you're not in that mode,
Yeah.
and somebody's just like, yo, you do this and that, and I love it. It's crazy.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
That sounds like a sick experience. Like, I'm glad
It
you.
was awesome, bro. The rest of my shift, I couldn't stop smiling, bro. It's just so crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I know that you just had a song come out. Like, is that yesterday? Yeah, I think it was yesterday, right? You had a song come out.
Yeah, yesterday.
What's like what are your kind of like plans for the rest of the year, music wise? Like, do you have any like, do you have an album coming up at any point? Like more singles? Like, what's like the future looking like for you immediately?
Absolutely. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news. No album. No album. But I am very much planning to drop some projects before the year ends. I still have to get 2 more in. I promised myself 4 EPs this year minimum.
Nice.
So we still got 2 more to do. I don't care that it's super close. Like I should have. Doesn't matter. In this 3 span, this last quarter, the 2 projects for sure. Maybe like a single or 2 there. And yeah, just grinding, still posting, still doing everything I do, just still putting out consistency and closing the year off with a bang. I want this year to end and be like, even if I'm not the biggest artist alive, sure, but I did my thing and I actually worked this year. This would be the first year that I can like genuinely say, at least from my point of right now, I actually worked and I actually put in my all. And yeah, I really worked.
No, yeah. I mean, I think it's really coming off in the music as well. And like, is there anything else as well that like, you know, in terms of the people watching this interview, like, is there anything else that you want to like want people to know about you? Want to like tell people about what you're doing? But
if you're near Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama to be exact, shows very soon. If you're anywhere in this area, shows soon. I'm gonna try to throw my own shows very, very soon, and they'll probably be around that area. So if you're in Nashville, Atlanta, Tennessee, like anywhere in that area, just be ready to come have a good time. And on top of that, just good shit, man. It's good shit on the way.
And speaking of Reese as well, I have one more question I want to ask because he this one time you posted about the Reese's peanut butter cups that had potato chips in them. Reese thought, and then you just talked about how you hated them. Reese thought this shit was so funny. He's brought it up to me like 3 times. He's like, yo, remember when Muchi posted about the Reese's peanut butter cups?
Bro, they're not good, bro. Yeah, I
want to know like your full review for Reese's.
Okay, so Reese's has a very good lineup. They have the Take 5s, which are immaculate. You know, it's the mix of the peanut butter, the chocolate, the little pretzel with the salt on. Like, it's a perfect combination. And then we have the original, the OG, just a regular peanut butter cup. Always does its Dougie. And then they have this one thing, and it's a big fucking Reese's. You only get like one of them bitches. And it's got like chips and a bunch of random bull in it. And it pisses me off because I spent like a whole $1.25 on it. And it was the worst thing I ever had. Like, it was not enjoyable. There wasn't enough of everything. Like, it wasn't enough flavor. It wasn't savory. It wasn't that sweet, that feeling you get when you eat a Reese's. You know what I'm saying? And it's a piece of shit. That's what it is. Don't buy one.
I'm sure Reese is gonna be glad to have this like on record because
I'm glad. Reese, don't eat that shit, bro. Don't you dare eat that shit.
Noted.